The Awakening. In the depths of an unremarkable star system, far from the bustling trade routes and territorial disputes of the galactic community, a miracle was unfolding. Deep within an asteroid, carefully hollowed out and shielded from prying eyes, banks of cryopods hummed to life. Their occupants, the last free humans in the galaxy, began to stir after 500,000 years of dreamless sleep. Dr. Ilara Chen was the first to open her eyes, gasping as her lungs remembered how to breathe. As the lead scientist of Project Exodus, it was her responsibility to ensure the survival and eventual awakening of humanity's last hope. She blinked away the lingering frost, her mind racing to recall the events that led to this moment. Earth, once the thriving heartworld of humanity, had fallen to the Zarkov Empire. The alien conquerors had appeared without warning, their technology far beyond anything humans had ever encountered. Cities were reduced to ash, billions perished, and the survivors were enslaved. In a desperate gambit, a small group of humans had launched a secret mission to preserve their species and culture, hoping that one day they might reclaim their home. As Ilara stumbled out of her cryopod, she was greeted by the ship's AI, HFY, Advanced Reconstruction and Information Assistant. "Welcome back, Dr. Chen," the AI's soothing voice echoed through the chamber. "It has been 500,000 years, 3 months and 17 days since Project Exodus was initiated. All systems are functioning within acceptable parameters." Ilara's mind reeled at the immensity of time that had passed. "Era," she croaked, her voice rusty from disuse. "Begin revival procedures for the rest of the crew. Priority Alpha." As the other cryopods began to open, releasing their precious human cargo, Ilara made her way to the command center. The screens flickered to life, displaying a galaxy that was both familiar and alien. Star systems had shifted, new civilizations had risen and fallen, but one constant remained. The Zarkov Empire still dominated much of known space. Captain Marcus Rivera joined her, his military training evident in his purposeful stride, despite the lingering effects of cryosleep. "Doctor," he nodded, "what's our status?" "We're alive, which is more than I dared hope for," Ilara replied, her eyes fixed on the galactic map. "But the Zarkov, they're still out there. Stronger than ever, it seems." Marcus's jaw clenched. "Then we have work to do. How many of us made it?" Araya's voice chimed in. "Final tally. 10,000 humans successfully revived. All essential personnel accounted for. Genetic diversity sufficient for sustainable population growth." A mixture of relief and sorrow washed over Ilara. 10,000 souls, carrying the hopes and dreams of billions. It would have to be enough. As the hours passed, more of the crew gathered in the command center. Engineers, soldiers, scientists, and civilians, each chosen for their skills and the knowledge they could preserve. The air buzzed with a mixture of excitement and apprehension as they absorbed the reality of their situation. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the team's xenobiologist, pored over the data ARIA had collected during their long sleep. "The galaxy has changed so much," she mused. "New species have evolved, empires have risen and fallen, but the Zarkov remain. They've subjugated or destroyed dozens of civilizations. What about Earth?" someone asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. Aria's holographic interface flickered, projecting an image of a familiar blue planet. But instead of the vibrant world they remembered, Earth appeared scared and dim. Massive orbital structures encased the planet, and the continents bore the marks of extensive mining and industrialization. "Earth remains under Zarkov control," Aria reported. "It serves as the capital of their empire and the seat of their government. Human slaves continue to be used for labor, though their numbers have dwindled significantly over the millennia." A heavy silence fell over the room, broken only by muffled sobs and angry mutters. The weight of their mission, the last hope of humanity, pressed down on each of them. Captain Rivera stood, his voice cutting through the despair. "We knew this wouldn't be easy. Our ancestors gave everything so that we could have this chance. We carry within us the legacy of billions. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity will not go quietly into the night." His words ignited a fire in the hearts of the assembled humans. They had been chosen for their skills, their resilience, and their unwavering spirit. Now, after 500,000 years, it was time to put those qualities to the test. Over the next few weeks, the asteroid base, dubbed New Eden by the crew, became a hive of activity. Engineers worked tirelessly to bring ancient systems online and adapt them to the current state of technology. Scientists pored over data, seeking weaknesses in Zarkov defenses and allies among the subjugated species. Military personnel began training simulations, preparing for the battles to come. Ilara found herself in endless strategy meetings with Marcus and the other leaders. They faced a monumental task: to transform their small group of survivors into a force capable of challenging the Galactic Empire. "We can't just rush in guns blazing," Ilara argued during one particularly heated discussion. "The Zarkov outnumber us by billions to one. We need to be smart, gather intelligence, and find allies." Marcus nodded, his tactical mind already formulating plans. "Agreed. We'll start with covert operations, establish hidden bases in key systems." "Araya, what can you tell us about potential weaknesses in the Zarkov Empire?" The AI's holographic display shifted, highlighting various sectors of the galaxy. The Zarkov rely heavily on a network of faster-than-light communication relays. Disrupting these could sow chaos in their command structure. Additionally, there are several species under Zarkov rule that show signs of resistance. The Vextar, in particular, have a history of armed rebellion. As they delved deeper into the intricacies of galactic politics and Zarkov technology, a plan began to take shape. They would need to move carefully, building their strength in secret while undermining the Empire from within. Yuki, who had been quiet for much of the meeting, suddenly spoke up. "There's something else we need to consider," she said, her voice tinged with excitement and trepidation. "Humans have been used as slave labor for 500,000 years. Our DNA, our very biology, might have been altered in ways we can't predict. We need to make contact with Earth-born humans, study them. They could be the key to our success or our downfall." The implications of her words hung heavy in the air. The humans of Earth, their distant cousins, had lived under Zarkov rule for countless generations. Would they even recognize their long-lost kin? Would they be allies in the fight for freedom, or had centuries of oppression crushed their spirit? As the meeting adjourned, Ilara found herself standing before the viewport, gazing out at the star-studded blackness of space. Somewhere out there, Earth waited, scared, exploited, but not forgotten. She placed her hand on the cold glass, a gesture echoed by many of her fellow survivors in that moment. "We're coming," she whispered, a promise to the billions who had perished and the countless souls still suffering under alien rule. "We haven't forgotten you, and we will take back what's ours." In the depths of New Eden, humanity's hidden fleet began to stir. Ancient engines roared to life, weapons systems came online, and stealth technology, the legacy of Earth's final desperate innovations, cloaked them from prying eyes. The remnants of humanity, preserved against impossible odds, were ready to emerge from the shadows. As New Eden prepared to leave its asteroid sanctuary, Araya's sensors detected an anomaly. A small ship of unknown design had entered the system. For a heart-stopping moment, the humans feared their secret had already been discovered. But as the ship drew closer, they realized it was no Zarkov vessel. "It appears to be a scout ship," Araya reported. "Markings suggest it belongs to a species known as the Nixeri. Historical records indicate they were a nomadic race, largely ignored by the Zarkov due to their small numbers and technological inferiority." Captain Rivera's eyes narrowed. "It seems the galaxy has thrown us our first curveball. Dr. Chen, what do you recommend? This could be our chance to make first contact, gather intel, or it could expose us before we're ready." Ilara felt the weight of the decision on her shoulders. Everything they had worked for, everything they had sacrificed, hung in the balance. But as she looked around at the faces of her fellow survivors, determined, hopeful, alive, she knew what they had to do. "Prepare a first contact team," she said, her voice steady. "It's time to introduce ourselves to the galaxy. Let's just hope they're ready for us." As the humans of New Eden prepared to step onto the galactic stage, none could predict the ripples their awakening would send through the cosmos. The Zarkov Empire, unchallenged for millennia, was about to face an enemy they had long thought vanquished. Humanity, with all its strength, ingenuity, and indomitable spirit, was back. And this time, they would not be denied. First Contact Redux. The Nixari scout ship hung in space, a delicate construct of crystalline structures and gossamer-thin energy fields. Its lone occupant, Navigator Zinixif, stared in wide-eyed wonder at the massive human vessel that had suddenly appeared before them. In all their wanderings across the galaxy, the Nixari had never encountered anything like it. Aboard New Eden, Ilara Chen stood at the head of the first contact team. Her heart raced with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. This moment would set the tone for humanity's reemergence into galactic society. "Araya," she commanded, "open a channel to the Nixari ship. Let's make a good first impression." The AI's soothing voice responded, "Channel open, Dr. Chen. Translation protocols are active." Ilara took a deep breath and spoke, her words carried across the void to the alien vessel. "Greetings, travelers. We are representatives of humanity, a species long thought lost to history. We come in peace and seek understanding." There was a moment of tense silence before a response came, the alien's melodic voice translated by Araya. "Humans? But that's impossible. The Zarkov destroyed your homeworld centuries ago. You are nothing but legends and cautionary tales." Captain Rivera stepped forward, his military bearing projecting strength and confidence. "The reports of our extinction were greatly exaggerated. We've been in hiding, gathering our strength. Now we seek allies in our fight against the Zarkov Empire." The Nixari ship trembled slightly, its crystalline structure resonating with what the humans would later learn was a mixture of fear and excitement. Fight the Zarkov. No one has dared to challenge them in living memory. But if what you say is true, this changes everything. Over the next few hours, Ilara and her team engaged in a careful dance of diplomacy and information exchange. They learned that the Nixari were indeed a nomadic species, surviving on the fringes of Zarkov-controlled space. Their ability to navigate the treacherous currents of deep space had kept them free, if not entirely safe. In turn, the humans shared carefully selected information about their history and their plans. They spoke of Earth, of the brutal conquest, and of their long sleep among the stars. The Nixari, it seemed, were captivated by the human story of perseverance against impossible odds. As the dialogue continued, Yuki Tanaka couldn't contain her scientific curiosity any longer. "Navigator Zenixa," she interjected, "your ship's design is fascinating. The crystalline structure, the energy fields, they're like nothing we've ever seen. How do you maintain stability during faster-than-light travel?" The Nixari's response was tinged with pride. "Our vessels are grown, not built. They are living extensions of ourselves, capable of adapting to the stresses of space-time distortion. It is how we have survived for so long in the void between stars." This exchange marked a turning point in the conversation. The Nixari, initially wary, began to open up about their own struggles under Zarkov dominion. Though never directly conquered, they lived in constant fear of discovery and annihilation. As the hours stretched on, a tentative alliance began to form. The Nixari, with their unparalleled knowledge of the galaxy's hidden paths, could provide invaluable intelligence and navigation assistance. In return, the humans offered the promise of protection and a chance to strike back against their mutual oppressor. But just as the negotiations were reaching a critical point, Alarms blared throughout New Eden. Araya's urgent voice cut through the air. Multiple Zarkoth warships detected entering the system. They appear to be on an intercept course. The command center erupted into controlled chaos. Captain Rivera barked orders, coordinating defensive measures and preparing for potential combat. Ilara turned to the communication screen, where the Nyxari navigator's crystalline form shimmered with anxiety. "Navigator Zenixa," Ilara said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "We need to make a decision. Will you stand with us, or will you flee?" There was a moment of hesitation before the alien responded, their voice resonating with newfound determination. "For too long, we have hidden in the shadows. Perhaps it is time for the Nyxari to take a stand. We will fight alongside you, humans." With that declaration, the Nyxari ship maneuvered closer to New Eden, its crystalline structure beginning to glow with an inner light. As the Zarkoth warships approached, weapons charged and ready to fire, humanity prepared to reveal itself to its ancient enemy. The ensuing battle was brief but intense. The Zarkoth, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of a supposedly extinct species and the unexpectedly fierce resistance of a Nyxari scout, found themselves outmaneuvered. New Eden's advanced stealth technology, combined with the Nyxari's ability to manipulate spacetime around their vessel, created a formidable defense. As the last Zarkoth ship retreated, trailing plasma and debris, a cheer went up throughout New Eden. It was a small victory, but a significant one. Humanity had announced its return to the galactic stage in spectacular fashion. In the aftermath of the battle, Ilara and Captain Rivera met with Navigator Zenixa aboard New Eden. The Nyxari's crystalline form pulsed with excited energy as they discussed the implications of what had just occurred. "The Zarkoth will not take this lightly," Zenixa warned. "They will hunt you relentlessly now that they know of your existence." Captain Rivera nodded grimly. "We expected as much. But we've been preparing for this moment for 500,000 years. We won't go down without a fight." Ilara, ever the diplomat, saw an opportunity. "Navigator, your people's assistance was crucial in this battle. Perhaps this could be the beginning of a larger alliance. Are there other species, other groups within the galaxy who might be willing to stand against the Zarkoth?" Zenix's form shimmered thoughtfully. "There are whispers, rumors of resistance movements on occupied worlds. Species who chafe under Zarkoth rule but lack the strength to oppose them openly. Your return could be the spark that ignites a galactic rebellion." The implications of Zenix's words hung heavy in the air. The humans exchanged glances, hope and determination shining in their eyes. They had emerged from their long slumber to find a galaxy ripe for revolution. Over the next few weeks, New Eden became a hive of activity. The Nyxari, true to their word, shared their vast knowledge of the galaxy's current state. Maps were updated, alliances were plotted, and strategies were devised. Yuki Tanaka worked closely with Zenixa, delving into the intricacies of Nyxari biology and technology. The potential applications of their living ships and space-time manipulation abilities could revolutionize human warfare and exploration. Meanwhile, Captain Rivera and his military staff pored over the tactical data provided by their new allies. The Zarkoth Empire, while vast, was not without its weaknesses. Centuries of unchallenged rule had led to complacency in some sectors, and the sheer size of their territory made it difficult to respond quickly to threats. Ilara found herself mediating between various factions within the human population. Some argued for immediate, aggressive action against the Zarkoth, while others advocated for a more cautious approach, building alliances and gathering strength before revealing themselves fully. As these discussions raged on, Araya's sensors detected an incoming transmission. It was heavily encrypted, using protocols that hadn't been seen in centuries. When finally deciphered, the message sent shockwaves through New Eden. "To the sons and daughters of Earth, long lost but never forgotten. We are the echoes, descendants of those left behind. For 500,000 years, we have kept the flame of resistance alive. Now, at last, our patience has been rewarded. The time has come to reclaim our birthright. Earth awaits your return. The command center fell silent as the enormity of this revelation sank in. Humanity had not just survived in secret aboard New Eden. It had endured centuries of oppression on Earth itself, preserving the dream of freedom against impossible odds. Ilara's voice, thick with emotion, broke the silence. Araya, can you trace the signal? Verify its authenticity. The A's response was tinged with what almost sounded like excitement. The transmission originates from Earth itself, Dr. Chen. While I cannot verify the identity of the senders with absolute certainty, the encryption methods used are consistent with late 21st century Earth technology, modified over time. The probability of this being a genuine human resistance movement is high. Captain Rivera's eyes blazed with newfound determination. This changes everything. We're not just fighting to reclaim a lost homeworld. We're fighting to liberate our own people. The news spread quickly through New Eden, igniting a fire in the hearts of every human aboard. The abstract goal of reclaiming Earth suddenly became deeply personal. These weren't just distant ancestors they would be fighting for, but cousins who had kept the spirit of humanity alive under unimaginable oppression. As plans were hastily revised to account for this new information, Zinxa approached Ilara with an offer. My people have long avoided direct confrontation with the Zarkov, but we cannot stand idle any longer. Allow me to reach out to other nomadic groups, species who have managed to avoid complete subjugation. Together, we could form a network of allies, providing support and intelligence for your cause. Ilara grasped the Nixari's crystalline appendage, a gesture of gratitude that transcended their biological differences. Thank you, Zinixa. Your friendship and that of your people may well be the key to our success. As New Eden prepared to leave the relative safety of its hiding place, tension and excitement permeated the air. Humanity was about to announce its return to the galaxy in earnest, and the first target was clear. Earth, the cradle of their species, awaited liberation. The ship's engines hummed to life, powered by technology 500,000 years in the making. As they prepared to make the jump to hyperspace, Captain Rivera's voice rang out over the ship-wide communication system. Men and women of Earth, descendants of those who dared to hope when all seemed lost. For centuries, we have slumbered while our brothers and sisters suffered under alien rule. But no more. Today we return to the stars not just as survivors, but as liberators. The Zarkov believe they broke humanity's spirit when they conquered our world. It's time to show them how wrong they were. A chorus of cheers erupted throughout the ship. As New Eden vanished into the swirling vortex of hyperspace, humanity carried with it the hopes and dreams of countless generations. The galaxy was about to witness the resurgence of a species it had long thought extinct, and nothing would ever be the same. The battle for Earth. The Zarkov High Command was in chaos. Reports flooded in from across the empire of uprisings, sabotage, and the appearance of advanced ships of unknown origin. Supreme Overlord Vexthar, his iridescent scales shimmering with rage, glared at the holographic display of the galaxy. How is this possible? He snarled, his multifaceted eyes focusing on each of his subordinates in turn. Humanity was broken. Earth has been under our control for 500,000 years. One of his advisors, a younger Zarkov named Silurek, dared to speak. My lord, it appears that a portion of the human population escaped our initial conquest. They have been in hiding, building their strength. And now, they've returned. Vexthar's tail lashed out, shattering a nearby console. Find them. Crush them. I want every ship, every soldier mobilized. Humanity will not slip through our grasp again. As the Zarkov Empire scrambled to respond to this unprecedented threat, New Eden and its growing fleet of allies approached the outskirts of the Sol system. The familiar sight of humanity's home star sent a wave of emotion through the crew. On the bridge, Captain Rivera stood with Ilara Chen and Yuki Tanaka, their faces a mixture of determination and apprehension. Zinx's crystalline form shimmered nearby, the Nixari's own excitement palpable. "RIA, status report," Rivera commanded. The A's holographic form materialized, displaying a tactical overview of the system. "Zarkov defenses are formidable, Captain. Multiple orbital platforms, a fleet of at least 500 warships, and planetary shield generators. However, I'm detecting unusual energy fluctuations from the surface. It appears our allies on the ground have begun their operation." Ilara leaned forward, studying the display intently. "The Echoes are making their move. We need to capitalize on this. Yuki, are the modified Nixari stealth modules ready?" The xenobiologist nodded, her eyes gleaming with pride. "Ready and better than we'd hoped. By combining their space-time manipulation technology with our own stealth systems, we should be able to slip a small team past the Zarkov defenses." Rivera's jaw set in grim determination. "Then that's our play. Dr. Chen, you'll lead the ground team. Make contact with the Echoes and coordinate our assault from the inside. Yuki, you're with her. We'll need your expertise if we encounter any biological weapons or defenses." As the strike team prepared for their daring infiltration, the rest of the fleet took up positions around the outer planets of the Sol system. Ships of various designs, human, Nixari, and a dozen other species who had answered humanity's call, formed a patchwork armada unlike anything the galaxy had seen in millennia. Zinx's voice chimed in, relaying information from the Nixari scout ships. "The Zarkov are mobilizing their fleet. They know we're here, but they haven't detected the infiltration team. We'll do our best to keep their attention divided." With a final nod to her companions, Ilara boarded the specially modified shuttle. As it detached from New Eden and engaged its experimental stealth systems, she felt the weight of history on her shoulders. 500,000 years of hope, sacrifice, and determination had led to this moment. The shuttle slipped past the Zarkov defenses like a ghost, the combined human and Nixari technology rendering it virtually undetectable. As they entered Earth's atmosphere, Ilara gasped at the sight below. The once blue planet was a patchwork of industrial sprawl, massive strip mines, and towering alien structures that dwarfed anything humanity had built in its prime. "My God," Yuki whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "What have they done to our home?" Before Ilara could respond, the shuttle's communication system crackled to life. A voice, speaking in an archaic dialect of English, came through. "Unknown vessel, you have entered restricted airspace. Identify yourself immediately or face termination." Ilara took a deep breath and replied, using the code phrase they had decoded from the Echo's transmission. "We are the lost children of Earth, returned to reclaim our birthright." There was a moment of tense silence before the voice responded, this time filled with barely contained excitement. "Welcome home, brothers and sisters. Follow our signal to the landing coordinates. Hurry, we don't know how long we can maintain this corridor." As the shuttle descended towards a hidden base in what was once the Rocky Mountains, the scale of the resistance became clear. Thousands of humans, their bodies adapted to generations of life under Zarkov rule, emerged from concealed bunkers and underground cities. Ilara and her team were greeted by Kai, the leader of the Echoes. His skin was pale from a lifetime underground, and cybernetic implants enhanced his senses, but his eyes burned with the same fire that had driven humanity to the stars. "For centuries, we've waited for this day," Kai said, grasping Ilara's hand firmly. "The prophecies spoke of your return, but many had lost hope. Now, at last, we can take back our world." As the two groups of humans, separated by 500,000 years of divergent evolution, shared information and planned their assault, the battle in orbit reached a fever pitch. Captain Rivera's voice crackled over the comm system. "Ground team, be advised. The Zarkov fleet is fully engaged. We're holding our own, but we can't keep this up indefinitely. Whatever you're planning down there, make it quick." Kai nodded grimly. "We're ready. For generations, we've worked to undermine the Zarkov from within. Sleeper agents in their communication networks, saboteurs in their weapons factories, On your signal, we can cripple their entire planetary defense grid. Ilara looked around at the faces of both her team and the Echoes, seeing the same determination reflected in each pair of eyes. Then let's not keep them waiting. Kai, give the order. Captain Rivera, prepare for Phase 2. It's time to show the Zarkoth that humanity is back, and we're taking back what's ours. With a series of coded transmissions, the Echoes activated their long-dormant network of resistance cells. Across the planet, Zarkoth systems began to fail. Shield generators overloaded, communication relays went dark, and automated defense platforms turned on their masters. In orbit, the human-led alliance pressed their advantage. Nixari ships danced between lumbering Zarkoth cruisers, their crystalline structures refracting energy weapons harmlessly into space. Vessels of a dozen different species, each with their own scores to settle against the Zarkoth, fought with a coordination that belied their disparate origins. As the space battle raged, Ilara and Kai led a daring assault on the Zarkoth's primary command center, the very palace from which the alien overlords had ruled Earth for 500,000 years. The Echoes, armed with a combination of scavenged Zarkoth technology and weapons provided by New Eden, fought with the fury of centuries of oppression finally unleashed. In the heart of the Zarkoth stronghold, Ilara found herself face to face with Supreme Overlord Vexthar himself. The alien ruler, his scales dulled with age, but his eyes still burning with hatred, leveled a fearsome energy weapon at her. "You should have stayed in hiding, human," Vexthar snarled. "Your species was broken once. We will break you again." Ilara stood her ground, her own weapon trained on the Zarkoth leader. "You never broke us," she replied, her voice steady. "You only made us stronger. Humanity doesn't break. We adapt, we survive, and we come back stronger than ever." As Vexthar's finger tightened on the trigger, a crystalline shard suddenly burst through his chest. The Zarkoth leader's eyes widened in shock as he crumpled to the ground, revealing Zinixis standing behind him. The Nixari's form pulsing with energy. "I believe," Zinixis said, their voice resonating with satisfaction, "that this concludes our first successful joint operation, Dr. Chen." With the Zarkoth leadership in disarray and their planetary defenses neutralized, the tide of battle turned decisively in humanity's favor. From the towering skyscrapers of what was once New York to the sprawling industrial complexes that covered much of Africa, humans emerged from hiding to join the fight. Generations of pent-up rage and the hope kindled by the return of their long-lost kin fueled their assault. In orbit, Captain Rivera coordinated the final push. The Zarkoth fleet, cut off from ground support and facing enemies on all sides, began to fracture. Some ships fled, jumping to hyperspace with no clear destination. Others fought to the bitter end, their captains choosing death over the humiliation of defeat at the hands of a species they had thought long conquered. As the last Zarkoth strongholds fell, a great cheer went up from every corner of the planet. For the first time in 500,000 years, Earth was free. In the aftermath of the battle, Ilara stood with Kai atop a hill overlooking what had once been the city of Denver. The sprawling Zarkoth structures were already being dismantled, humans and their alien allies working together to reclaim the planet. "It's going to take generations to heal the damage they've done," Kai said, his cybernetic eyes scanning the horizon. "But we got time now. And hope." Ilara nodded, feeling the weight of both victory and responsibility settling on her shoulders. "We've won the battle, but the war is far from over. The Zarkoth still control much of the galaxy. Earth is just the beginning." As if in response to her words, Aria's voice came through on her communicator. "Dr. Chen, we're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. News of our victory is spreading. Uprisings have begun on dozens of Zarkoth-controlled worlds." A smile spread across Ilara's face as she turned to Kai. "Looks like humanity's return is going to reshape more than just Earth. The galaxy's in for some big changes." Kai grinned back, the expression somewhat unsettling on his pale, cybernetically enhanced face. Good. It's about time the stars remembered why they should fear the sons and daughters of Earth. As the sun set on the first day of Earth's new freedom, Ilara looked up at the sky. The stars were coming out, no longer hidden behind Zarkov atmospheric processors. Each point of light represented a new frontier, a new challenge for humanity to overcome. The battle for Earth was over, but humanity's resurgence had only just begun. The galaxy would soon learn that the species it had written off as extinct was not only back but stronger and more determined than ever. The age of Zarkov dominion was ending, and a new era of human exploration, innovation, and liberation was about to dawn. Turning the tide. In the months following the liberation of Earth, the galaxy erupted into chaos. News of humanity's return and the fall of the Zarkov homeworld spread like wildfire, igniting long-dormant sparks of rebellion on countless subjugated planets. The once mighty Zarkov Empire found itself besieged on all fronts, its forces stretched thin as they attempted to maintain control over their vast territories. Aboard the New Eden, now serving as the flagship of the burgeoning alliance, Ilara Chen pored over reports from across the galaxy. Holographic displays showed dozens of active conflict zones, each representing a world fighting for freedom from Zarkov oppression. Captain Rivera entered the command center, his face etched with both excitement and concern. "Doctor, we've received word from the Nixari scout ships. The Zarkov are massing a massive fleet in the Epsilon Eridani system. It looks like they're preparing for a major counteroffensive." Ilara's brow furrowed as she studied the tactical display. "They're getting desperate. This could be our chance to deal a decisive blow, but it's also incredibly risky. We'll be committing a significant portion of our forces." As they debated their next move, Yuki Tanaka burst into the room, her eyes wide with excitement. "You're not going to believe this," she said, struggling to catch her breath. "We've made a breakthrough with the Nixari biotechnology. We might have a game-changing weapon against the Zarkov." Ilara and Rivera exchanged glances before turning their full attention to Yuki. "Explain," Rivera said, his voice tense with anticipation. Yuki pulled up a holographic display, showing a strange, shimmering substance. "We've been studying the way Nixari ships manipulate space-time. By combining their crystal-based technology with some of the adaptive biotech we found in the echoes on Earth, we've created a sort of living weapon." The hologram shifted, showing the substance enveloping a simulated Zarkov ship. The vessel seemed to phase in and out of reality before disappearing entirely. "We're calling it the Nexus Field," Yuki continued. "When deployed, it creates a localized space-time distortion that essentially removes the target from our reality. No destruction, no loss of life. Just gone." Captain Rivera's eyes narrowed. "Gone where, exactly?" Yuki shrugged. "We're not entirely sure. Another dimension, perhaps. The important thing is, it's reversible. We can bring them back once the conflict is over." Ilara leaned in, studying the simulation closely. "This could change everything. If we can remove Zarkov ships and troops from the battlefield without destroying them, we could end this war with minimal further loss of life." As the implications sank in, Araya's voice chimed in. "I hate to interrupt, but we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth. It's Kai." The holographic display shifted, showing the scared face of the Echo leader. "Ilara, we've got a situation down here. We've been decoding more of the Zarkov databases, and we found something troubling." Kai's image was replaced by a star chart, showing a massive structure deep in uncharted space. The Zarkov call it the Omega Forge. It's some kind of superweapon, capable of destabilizing the fabric of spacetime on a galactic scale. If they activate it, they could undo everything we've accomplished. Ilara finished, her voice grim. Captain Rivera straightened, his military training kicking in. "Then we have no choice. We need to launch a two-pronged assault. One force to engage the Zarkov fleet at Epsilon Eridani, another to find and neutralize this Omega Forge." Ilara nodded in agreement. "I'll lead the team to the Forge. Yuki, I'll need you and your Nexus field technology with me. Captain, can you handle the main fleet engagement? Rivera grinned, a fierce light in his eyes. Just try and stop me. It's time we showed the Zarkov what humanity can really do. As preparations for the dual assault began, word spread throughout the Alliance. Ships of all shapes and sizes, crewed by dozens of species who had found common cause in opposing Zarkov tyranny, gathered for what promised to be the decisive battle of the war. Zenixa, who had become something of an ambassador between the various allied species, approached Ilara as she was boarding her ship. The Nixeri's crystalline form pulsed with an emotion that Ilara had learned to recognize as a mix of anxiety and determination. "Dr. Chen," Zenixa said, their voice resonating with harmonics that conveyed deep respect, "I wish to accompany you on your mission to the Omega Forge. My people's knowledge of space-time manipulation may prove useful in understanding and neutralizing this weapon." Ilara smiled, clasping the Nixeri's arm in a gesture of friendship that bridged their biological differences. "I was hoping you'd volunteer, my friend. We're going to need every advantage we can get." As Ilara's strike team prepared to depart, Captain Rivera's voice echoed through the communications system. "All ships, this is Captain Rivera. For too long, the Zarkov have held this galaxy in a grip of fear. They thought they had extinguished the light of freedom, the spark of resistance. But they were wrong." The captain's words carried to every ship in the massive fleet, to every resistance fighter on 100 worlds. Humanity has returned from the brink of extinction, not seeking revenge, but justice, and we do not stand alone. Look around you. See the allies we've made, the bonds we've forged. This is the true strength of our species, not our technology, not our weapons, but our ability to unite others in a common cause. Rivera's voice swelled with pride and determination. "Today, we fight not just for Earth, not just for humanity, but for every species that has suffered under Zarkov oppression. Today, we prove that tyranny, no matter how long it has reigned, can be overthrown. Today, we take back our galaxy." A roar of approval echoed through space as the Allied fleet began to move. Ships of all sizes and designs formed up, presenting a united front against the Zarkov threat. As Ilara's ship broke away from the main fleet, plotting a course for the secret coordinates of the Omega Forge, she felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. Humanity had come so far, overcome so much. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew they would face them together, not just as humans, but as part of a galactic community united in the cause of freedom. The final battle for the fate of the galaxy was about to begin, and humanity was ready to prove once and for all that they were a force to be reckoned with. The Zarkov had awakened a sleeping giant, and now they would face the consequences of their millennia of oppression. As the stars streaked by outside her viewport, Ilara allowed herself a small smile. Win or lose, the galaxy would never be the same again, and humanity, long thought extinct, would play a pivotal role in shaping its future. A new dawn. The void of space erupted into a kaleidoscope of fire and light as the Allied fleet engaged the Zarkov armada near Epsilon Eridani. Captain Rivera, standing tall on the bridge of New Eden, orchestrated the battle with the precision of a maestro conducting a cosmic symphony. Nexeri cruisers, execute maneuver Theta. Human destroyers, concentrate fire on their flagship. His orders crackled across the comms, guiding the diverse fleet in a dance of destruction that left the Zarkov reeling. Meanwhile, light years away, Ilara Chen's strike team approached the coordinates of the fabled Omega Forge. As they dropped out of hyperspace, a collective gasp echoed through the bridge. Before them loomed a structure that defied comprehension. A massive, pulsating orb of dark energy, surrounded by a lattice of exotic matter that seemed to bend and twist the very fabric of space-time. "By all that's holy," Yuki breathed, her scientific mind struggling to process what she was seeing. "The energy readings are off the charts. This thing could tear the galaxy apart." Zenix's crystalline form shimmered with agitation. We must act quickly. I sense great instability in the space-time continuum surrounding the forge. As they approached, alarms blared throughout the ship. A swarm of Zarkov defenders emerged from hidden hangars, their weapons already blazing. Ilara gripped her command chair, barking orders to the crew. Evasive maneuvers. Yuki, prep the Nexus field generators. We need to clear a path to that control center. The battle raged on two fronts, separated by vast gulfs of space, but united in purpose. At Epsilon Eridani, the Allied fleet pressed its advantage. The Zarkov, caught off guard by the sheer diversity of tactics and technologies arrayed against them, found their rigid battle strategies crumbling. Rivera watched with grim satisfaction as another Zarkov dreadnought succumbed to a combined assault from human, Nixari, and a half-dozen other Allied ships. "Push forward," he commanded. "Don't let up. We need to keep them focused on us." Back at the Omega Forge, Ilara's team fought their way through waves of defenders. The Nexus field proved its worth, phasing entire squadrons of Zarkov fighters out of existence. Yet for every ship they removed, two more seemed to take its place. "We're not going to be able to fight through all of them," Ilara realized, watching as more enemy reinforcements poured in. "We need another way in." She turned to Zenixa, an idea forming. "Your people's space-time manipulation. Could we use it to create a direct path to the forged core?" The Nexaries form pulsed with excitement. "Risky, but possible. We would need to synchronize our ship systems with the forge's own space-time distortions. One miscalculation, and we could be torn apart." Ilara's jaw set with determination. "It's a risk we have to take. Yuki, work with Zenixa. Get it done." As the two scientists raced against time to reconfigure the ship's systems, the battle outside intensified. The Zarkov, sensing the threat to their superweapon, threw everything they had at the small strike team. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. Warnings blared as systems began to overload. "We've got it," Yuki shouted over the chaos, initiating space-time fold now. For a moment, reality itself seemed to bend and warp around them. Ilara felt a sensation of being stretched and compressed simultaneously, her very atoms screaming in protest. Then, with a flash of light and a thunderous crack, they were through, hovering in the heart of the Omega Forge. "All teams, move out," Ilara commanded, leading the charge from the airlock. They found themselves in a vast chamber, pulsing with otherworldly energies. At its center stood a group of Zarkov scientists, their scaled faces contorted with a mixture of fear and rage. "Stop," the lead Zarkov cried out. "You don't understand what you're dealing with. This weapon is the only thing standing between us and total annihilation." Ilara paused, her weapon still raised. "Explain. Quickly." The Zarkov scientists' multiple eyes darted nervously between the intruders. "There's a threat coming. Something ancient. Something that devours entire galaxies. We built the Omega Forge to defend against it. Without this weapon, all life in the galaxy is doomed." For a moment, doubt crept into Ilara's mind. Could they be telling the truth? But then she remembered the centuries of oppression, the countless lives destroyed by Zarkov rule. "If there is a threat," she said firmly, "we'll face it together, as a united galaxy, not under the boot of your empire." With a nod to her team, they moved in. The Nexus field generators hummed to life, carefully removing the Zarkov scientists from the equation without harm. Yuki and Zenixa immediately set to work, their fingers flying over alien consoles as they sought to unravel the Forge's secrets. "Ilara," Yuki called out, her voice tense, "this thing is incredible. The scientific knowledge here, it could advance our understanding of the universe by centuries. But it's also incredibly dangerous. One wrong move, and we could trigger a chain reaction that would tear the galaxy apart." Ilara felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. The fate of not just humanity, but countless species across the galaxy hung in the balance. "Can we disable it safely?" Zinix's crystalline form pulsed with concentration. I believe so, but we'll need to work quickly. The energy buildup is reaching critical levels. As the scientists raced against time, Ilara received a transmission from Captain Rivera. The holographic display showed a man battered but unbowed, his uniform singed but his eyes shining with victory. "We've done it, Ilara," he exclaimed. "The Zarkov fleet is in full retreat. How goes your mission?" Ilara quickly filled him in on the situation, including the Zarkov scientists' dire warning. Rivera's expression grew grave. "A threat greater than the Zarkov. Hard to imagine, but we can't discount it. Whatever you decide, we've got your back." With time running out, Ilara made her choice. "Yuki, Zinixa, disable the weapon, but preserve as much of the research and technology as you can. If there is a threat out there, we'll need every advantage to face it." The next few minutes were a blur of frantic activity. Alarms blared as energy levels spiked and fell. The very air seemed to crackle with power. Then, suddenly, silence fell. The ominous pulsing of the forge's core slowed, then stopped entirely. "It's done," Yuki said, her voice filled with awe and exhaustion. "We've shut it down." As the team made their way back to their ship, Ilara took one last look at the now dormant Omega Forge. They had averted one crisis, but she couldn't shake the feeling that an even greater challenge lay ahead. Weeks later, representatives from across the galaxy gathered on Earth for a historic summit. The great hall of what had once been the Zarkov's seat of power now played host to a dizzying array of species, former rebels, subjugated races, and even those Zarkov who had chosen to sue for peace. Ilara stood at the podium, looking out over the assembled delegates. The weight of history pressed down upon her, but she stood tall, ready to help shape a new future for the galaxy. "Friends, allies, fellow sentients," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. "We stand here today at the dawn of a new era. The Zarkov Empire, which held our galaxy in its grip for so long, has fallen. But we do not gather to celebrate their defeat. Instead, we are here to ensure that such tyranny never rises again." She paused, letting her words sink in. Humanity returned from the brink of extinction not seeking vengeance, but justice. And in our struggle, we found that we were not alone. Every species represented here today played a part in our victory. Now we must work together to build a future worthy of our sacrifices. Ilara outlined her vision, a galactic cooperative, where each species would have a voice, where knowledge and resources would be shared for the benefit of all. "And we must prepare," she added, her tone growing serious. "The Omega Forge was built for a purpose. If the threat the Zarkov feared is real, we must be ready to face it, not as separate races, but as a united galaxy." As the delegates debated and discussed, Ilara stepped away from the podium. She found Yuki, Zinixa, and Captain Rivera waiting for her. "Quite a speech," Rivera said with a smile. "You've given them a lot to think about." Yuki nodded in agreement. The scientific advancements alone from this cooperation could be staggering. Imagine what we could achieve by combining the knowledge of 100 different species. Zinix's crystalline form shimmered with what Ilara had come to recognize as hope. "My people have wandered the stars for eons, Dr. Chen. For the first time, I believe we may have found a place to truly call home." Ilara looked out over the assembly, where humans stood shoulder to shoulder with aliens of all descriptions. Former enemies were becoming allies, shared challenges forging new bonds. "We've come so far," she mused, "from the brink of extinction to the cusp of a new golden age. Whatever the future holds, whatever threats may come, I believe we'll face them together." As the sun set on this historic day, casting a warm glow over the restored beauty of Earth, Ilara allowed herself a moment of pride. Humanity had not only survived, but had become a catalyst for change on a galactic scale. The road ahead would not be easy, but they would walk it united, stronger together than they ever could have been apart. The stars beckoned, no longer a reminder of lost glory, but a promise of adventures yet to come. Humanity, and the galaxy itself, stood ready to embrace a future filled with endless possibilities.